Hello, everyone. We're here to look at another awesome Kickstarter that's currently going. I am joined by the guys from Spider-Mine Games, who are here to tell us a bit about their new game, the Elite Dangerous Battle Cards. How you doing, guys?
Yeah, very good, thanks. Very good. How are you?
I'm doing okay. Can't wait to get stuck into this one. Yeah. Well, to start things off, can you please introduce yourselves? Tell us a bit about yourselves and what it is you do at Spider-Mine Games.
I'm Oliver Hume. I'm the lead designer of Spider-Man games and of battle cards in particular.
And I'm John Lunn, and I'm the producer for the Battle.
Excellent. Now, this isn't your first foray into the Elite Dangerous world, is it?
No. We've previously done EDRPG, which is the Elite Dangerous role-playing game, which we launched on Kickstarter, and that did pretty well for us. Actually, it was, we were quite pleased with that. Yeah. We had a nice relationship with Frontier, so we thought we'd do another project for them. Kind of had this card game bubbling around in the back of my head. So we thought we'd make
and
it
also, I mean, role-playing games are, you know, they're heavy in so far as they require a group. Even if you use Roll20, you still need a bunch of players, and you need the reliability of them all being around at the same time and that kind of stuff. And I think every convention we went to, whether it's a computer game or gaming convention, the thing that happens in the middle of taking up most of the table space are people sat down playing card games. And so we thought, well, it's a bit weird that here we are at a massive computer convention showing off huge numbers of computer games, and there's no card game for the one computer game that we're both playing and fanatic about. So when we approached Frontier, they were up for it and they loved the idea. So
wonderful. Now, before we dig into the card game properly, I have to say, and I know I'm going to probably gain a lot of enmity in the comments below for this, I have never played Elite Dangerous. So, can you... Yeah,
you're allowed to say that.
You say that. I'm not looking forward to the comments later. Now, can you let me know a bit about the world of Elite Dangerous? What is happening here?
Effectively, Elite Dangerous is a huge sandbox game. Everyone owns their own spaceship, and you're let loose in the galaxy to do whatever you want. So you're not a chosen one. You're not the special hero that's out there to save the world. You are, a regular Joe or Josephine, and you start off with a little small ship, and you've got to decide how you make your way in the galaxy.
It's tough in that respect. It kind of chucks you into the deep end. But the actual machine behind it is something I think Frontier are quite proud of, because the setting for Elite Dangerous is several thousand years in the future. But it is based on our galaxy. So they have been able to procedurally generate a fairly reasonable replica of our Milky Way. So one of the things you can do as a pilot in Elite Dangerous is take off from your space station in and around Sol or Earth and actually fly to places, Alpha Centauri, and places that exist when you look at through telescopes. So it's as close a representation to the world as they can get it. Politically, there are two forces mainly, although there are three in a way. There's the Federation, kind of meant to look a bit like the
the Space USA
current day US. There's the Imperials, which is as close to, I think, in the creator's mind, in David Braben's mind, close to an Imperial Romanesque.
Yes, a kind of Augustinian Rome. So kind of,
slavery is legal, but slavery isn't the sort of slavery you think of, where the slaves are abused and taken advantage of. Slavery is a way of paying off debts and serving your local prefect and things like that. And then of course there's the Alliance. And a lot of people love the Alliance, but the Alliance is a bit like Europe.
Oh.
So they're a bit argumentative. They don't always get on with each other. So they're not quite as politically cohesive as the other two. So those guys are all scrapping over the human-dominated area, the Elite Dangerous universe, which is less than 1% of the galaxy. I mean, it's a tiny dot. It feels enormous because it's something in the region of 200,000 systems or something, but it's nothing. There's 4 billion stars. in the galaxy, and so it represents the tiniest fraction.
And one of the things you can do in the Elite Dangerous universe is become an explorer, and by that you mean equip your ship to be able to scan distant worlds and then go out into the black and discover them. And recently, Frontier have announced a bit of love for the exploration community, so there's going to be a big patch coming at the end of this year, which is going to further increase the amount of gameplay, because going out there and scanning planets after a while can get a bit samey. So they've decided to try and orchestrate some kind of extra gameplay, which is quite exciting. But it is worth, I think, saying, Sam, that whilst the Elite Dangerous galaxy is obviously where we base our cards from, the card game itself doesn't require you to have played or have any knowledge of the Elite Dangerous galaxy or the gaming mechanics. It's not something that if you play Elite Dangerous, you are therefore a ninja at. The card game has its own mechanics. It just has some really quite splendidly looking ships on the on each card.
Yeah. Well, I've got to say, after you guys telling me all about that, I'm tempted to dive into it now. I like the idea of being an explorer.
Your day job. Give up your day job, though. It takes out. If you like it, it'll take out.
It is very realistically designed.
Yes.
So the distances are all kind of quite genuine. So if you want to go to the other end of the galaxy, I mean, I think, John, did you do that? I think you did do once, and it took you a couple of months. It does take a while.
And as you were saying, and we rudely interrupted you, Sam, the exploring is amazing. I mean, you see some quite incredible stuff.
Well, you say it would take over my day job. I wonder if I could pitch it to Warren as research for the Elite Dangerous role-playing game. Yeah.
That's how you pitched it to me, wasn't it?
That's exactly how I pitched it. Yeah, no, that would work. They'd be fine.
I'm researching! Okay. Okay, moving on from that. The card game. It is very much its own entity, apart from the video game and the role-playing game. What can you tell us about the card game? How does it work?
Well, the card game is a two-player competitive card game. Effectively, there is a gaming mat, and it's divided into 3 zones. In order to win the game, you have to control 2 out of the 3 zones. Now, each zone has got its own special mission, so it's not just a case of blowing your opponent up. The missions kind of guide you as to how you should sort of, complete your objectives. So for instance, there's a mission where you have to build a capital ship. So a massive kind of 4-mile-long supercruiser, or 4 kilometer long, I should say, supercruiser. And you have to be the first to make deliveries to sort of build the ship up. So that kind of mission greatly emphasizes transport. So you want sort of your kind of, your kind of Millennium Falcon equivalents. You want your kind of Cobras, your Pythons, Anacondas, huge, great big
carriers.
Yeah, carriers.
But of course, they don't quite have as much shooty, punchy firepower as some of your fighters and some of your. You might want to deploy some of those to protect your transports.
Yeah.
Or the other tactic, of course, is you've got to deliver, but actually you're going to give up on any of the idea of deploying transports, and you just fill that zone full of the largest, nastiest ships you can possibly think of,
and just try to prevent your
opponent from
finishing their capital ship. So and that's just one mission. There's I think 10 missions. Yeah, pretty sure there's 10 missions in the core set, and 14 missions overall if you get all of the expansions. And they range from mining missions where you're attacking space stations, missions where you go out exploring, trying to find distant planets. And essentially, what these missions do is that they try and make sure that you have a deck of cards that's very balanced. It's not just filled with warships. It's filled with, explorers and fighters and mining ships, passenger liners. There's all sorts of different ships in the Elite Dangerous universe. And we didn't just want it to be a game where, you just have to shoot the enemy. I mean, you can try and fall back on that idea, just try and fill your deck with warships and fighters. But the risk is that your opponent will sneak to victory by having a deck that's just kind of more finely tuned than yours. That's the basic thrust of how you sort of play the game, how you win the game.
Yeah, it's a very interesting looking game. I like the focus of the deck building I'm just scrolling through the Kickstarter here, and I can see there's a bit of dice play there too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So essentially, when you're making an attack, there's two kinds of attacks. There's fixed attacks and there's burst attacks. And fixed attacks work in a way common to many card games. So there's a fixed amount of damage. So if you have a weapon that does fixed 3, for instance, then you put 3 damage counters on an enemy card, and if that is enough to destroy it, it goes off. If not, those damage counters kind of stack up. Burst attacks are riskier. Generally, they tend to be larger. You can potentially inflict more damage, but they're more random. So if, for instance, you have a ship that's got a burst 8 attack, you'd roll 8 dice, and for every 4, 5, and 6 you get, that's 1 point of damage you do. So you could do 8 points of damage, which would be enough to annihilate even very large ships, or you could do 1 or 2 points of damage. I mean, we've seen people in playtests do literally no damage at all and completely miss. So you want to, it's another thing to factor into your deck. Some people can't stand the idea of any kind of randomness, so they will only ever pick ships that do fixed damage. Yeah. But if you do that, you will always be potentially limiting the amount of damage you can do. And there are other cards that will boost your odds. That can, there are cards that make you an elite gunner, so that you're more likely to hit.
Yeah. But there are other ships that are that can defend against and highly armored, and therefore your effectiveness is reduced. So burst is reduced to successes on just 5s and 6s. So there's lots of different ways in which you can tweak your card. You can upgrade them. You can outfit them, like in the game, but ways in which you can make the game more towards your taste.
Yeah. I mean, I think the main thing to say about the cards is that they don't just do one thing. So every card has at least 2 actions that it can choose from. So it'll almost always have some kind of attack action, but it will also be doing something else. So if you have a transport, it might make a delivery if there's a delivery mission, or it might let you draw more cards, which is very useful if you're playing the kind of deck where you're playing cards all the time, rather than just kind of saving up for a few big ones. There are stun your opponent, so your opponent does less damage. There's abilities that call in other ships. There's all kinds of different actions that you can choose from. So you won't always just be choosing sort of like the first attack action. And then there are sort of specific cards that are really good at blowing up certain kinds of ships. There's a ship called the Adder Raider, which is brilliant at blowing up transports. So, if you're playing a delivery mission, it's really good to pack that one because it does a huge amount of damage to transports. Against other ships, it's okay, but it's ideally matched against transport. So that's the
and there are if people have are interested in watching the gameplay, there are on the Kickstarter page, there are in fact a couple of playthroughs that we've recorded, full games, which last about sort of between 45 minutes and an hour-ish. But it'll give people a good idea of some of the mechanics.
I got to say, the randomness aspect is something that really appeals to me, as it does mean I love those moments where things can go wrong for you. Those are the water cooler moments.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, it's I do too. I appreciate that there are some people who'll want it to be extremely scientific. And it's got to be sort of, I want it to be eminently predictable what's going to happen next. But actually, I really enjoy the random element personally. I've tried to include both ideas so that if there's one player that likes the idea of sort of, winning or losing on the toss of the dice, then you can be that player and you can stock those kinds of ships. And if you're the sort of, scientific player who doesn't want, any randomness, you can just pick ships that will be performing exactly to your specifications. So it's kind of my way around it, so that you can be the kind of commander that you want to be. But I agree. I think card games ultimately, and I think people do forget that the very basis of card games, where you draw from a deck, the very core of that is randomness. It's about trying to tame that randomness kind of to your will, as it were. And so, I think ED Battle Cards embraces that. And, they're wonderful games that can kind of flow and go backwards and forwards. And It's it's a great, very pleasurable game to play. At least that's the feedback that we've got back.
Yeah. Well, the game is currently on Kickstarter. What sort of extras can people get in on there? Is there any cool little goodies that have cropped up?
Yeah, there's there are a bunch of, as people would expect on Kickstarter, there are a number of pledge levels. People can buy a starter set which has enough cards for 2 players to sit down and have a good taster of how EV Battle Cards works. But a lot of people after that, I hope, will be left with a feeling of wanting more. So there is a season box that people can get, which is basically all the cards that we're releasing in season 1. So that's 245 cards in total, and it'll be one of every card. You can augment them. You can increase your certain decks and certain numbers. I mean, the rules in the game allow for up to 4 of the same.
Yeah, 4 copies
card.
of the same card.
Yeah. And you can increase that by buying, if you want to, or 4 season boxes and have 4 of every card in the set, or you can increase certain parts of your deck by buying expansion packs, which we have as well. And then, of course, there are some add-ons. You'll notice there's a lovely neoprene mat. The board that comes with the season box is a kind of a game board, the sort of thing you would expect from your Monopolies. And it's hardboard. But there is a neoprene, an A1 neoprene mat that you can pick up as an add-on. Yeah. There are also some faction-coloured Chessex dice. We've been able to once again work with our friends at Chessex to produce some amazing coloured dice that suit the game very well. And then we've got some stretch goals. The stretch goal, we're excited about the next one, which is going to give people a Kickstarter exclusive card called the Dance Macabre, which is quite
a Alliance Chieftain.
It's
good. It's good ship.
And then we've got some other stretch goals which we haven't announced yet, which we're really excited about.
There's one, of course, that has caught my eye, called Release the Beast.
Yeah.
I wonder what that could be.
We thought you guys would.
We've made a card called the Beast of War, which is a very unpleasant Python.
Yeah.
Obviously, at what point do we unlock that? Is that 35?
35k.
Said.
We haven't fixed on a price yet. I think it's 35 at the moment is what we've set that at. Because I think we've got the neoprene mats coming at 30 and 30.
Well, can I show them the card? I want to show them the card.
Yeah. Do.
Look at it! We've got a ship! Oh, this is so cool, guys.
A lovely designer on the team who just does smashing stuff with the Elite Dangerous ships. I suppose I would say it, but I think the cards, they look really gorgeous. They're very much prettier than the playtest cards that I forced John to play with when we were test playing the game. They're gorgeous things, and so all the cards are of this kind of similar quality. Do have a look on the Kickstarter and have a peek.
The stretch goals. We've just changed the stretch goal amounts because of some feedback. Great feedback we got from our backers and people who'd viewed the site. So we've just changed those, but people can go over onto the site and have a look at the new stretch goal levels and when they can get their hands on the Beast of War, which is as it says at the bottom of the card. Usually shooting at a Python just makes it.
Yeah, I know that Warren was very happy about that tagline. Yeah.
Excellent.
Well, before anything else, can you just let me know a bit about this card? What can the Beast of War do?
Well, effectively, the Beast of War, it's a good, strong attacking card. Its primary thing that makes it special, I would say, is the fact that it's got an ability to spend karma points to counterattack people who have shot it. So, effectively, say you're a little weedy fighter and you've just gone and you've shot the Beast of War, you can spend karma to immediately do a burst 3 attack on the person who's just shot you, and you can do that any number of times. So effectively, if you've if you're attacked 3 times, you can conceivably fire back 3 times as well.
Yep.
So the more you attack the Beast of War, the more damage it will do to you in return. So it's a very angry card. Besides that, it's just a pretty rugged card. It's got a lovely ability where it's able to attack 3 targets at once, which is great if you're being outnumbered by lots of tiny ships, which can sometimes be actually the weakness of big, strong ships like the Beast of War. So it's kind of it's inured to that. If the Beast of War has a weakness, it's that it's not quite so good against ships that are larger than it. So if you're looking at the sort of the Anacondas and the sort of the Corvettes and Clippers of the Elite universe, you'll find yourself a bit outmatched. It hasn't got, except the ability to counterattack, doesn't have many defenses. That said, it's a multi-role card, so it means that you can attach outfitting cards to it. So if you want, you could add shields, you can boost up its hull, you can give it all kinds of little tricks and additions to improve its survivability, because as you can see, it's quite an expensive card. 8 points is quite high. I think the most expensive card in the game, in the set, is 12 points. So you can see that the Beast of War it's quite high up there. That's a serious investment. So yes, it's a lovely card, and I really hope that everyone gets the chance to inherit it, as it were.
Yeah, and it will be made available if we reach that 35k stretch goal, and that will be made available in every set from now until eternity. So
excellent. So, guys, you heard it. If you want to fly around on the Beast of War, head over to the Kickstarter and make that a reality. Well, Oliver, John, thank you very much for coming on board for this.
Well, thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you for having us. It's been a blast.
It's been a pleasure having you on the show. Okay, if you guys want to hear more about the Elite Dangerous card game, head over to the Kickstarter and check it out. And please be sure to drop a comment below and let us know what you think.